Well, I don't know how far I'm going to get today. Hang on, I don't know why. I cannot seem to get this thing adjusted right to begin with. Alright, so I'm going to get back on this LS and finish. It's 4.8, I guess. I'm going to try to pull this rear cover. I bought some stamps while we were on vacation, metal stamps. I'm going to stamp all the rod, and we're going to pull the pistons, get the crank out. I'm hoping today. Kind of see how it plays out. But going to get this cover off. Somebody tightened the crap out of this too. I know it had the silicone on there, so I'm assuming that the rear main seal must have leaked on it. I wouldn't say it's common, but it is to a certain point. I thought when they went with the one-piece rear main, GM had this lined out, and that 01 Suburban had 158, I think, thousand on it. That rear main seal leaked on it too when I bought it. Now I went to go to synthetic oil, and then it ran out like water. So, and that's when I put the 4.8 in, the 6 liter in. So that kind of took care of that for a problem. So every one of these that I take apart, when I put like the one in this Malibu with 100,000 miles, the rear main actually was not leaking in it, but I didn't want to chance it. So as I said in previous videos, I just replaced the rear mains in them. And all the gaskets had to change oil pan anyway in it, like I said before, but it's just smart to replace them all. It's right there where you can get to it. It's on the stand. Saves you a lot of headache. Because once the motor's in, you know how much of a pain it would be to pull either the transmission or the motor back out, just replace the rear main seal. So, yeah, for a $30, $40 seal, whatever it is for these rear main, I don't remember, because you got to get that gasket too. You really can't get the rear main out with the gasket, or with the the plate in. I just don't think you can. So, pretty tight. Like I said, I don't know who put this back on there, and I've said this before, it's just aluminum. Somehow people think it's I'll lube this thing up a little bit, but it just sounded terrible. It was hard to turn. Getting pretty close. Like I said, I got to pull knock sensors and the oil pressure sensor since they tore it up, and I don't have the timing gear off the crank yet. I don't have the right size puller, so I'm going to kind of hunt around and see if I can get it pulled off there. There's a couple of other options if you can't get it. In this case, there's a couple of other options. Obviously I have a new one because I got a new timing set, but if it gives me a whole bunch of a headache, I don't really know that I want to heat it up a whole lot, but I could probably warm it up a tad and see if that helps it come off. The other option is I take a grinder, which I really don't want to do either, and thin it up enough that it'll pull itself, especially where the keyway is, because that's actually key. Your balancer, like I said, does not have a key, but your timing set does. So we'll see. We'll work on that here in a little bit and figure it out. But like I said, I know this isn't machine shop quality tear down and rebuild, but it is going to be, this is a kind of a budget, and I kind of said that to begin with. When I do the 4.8 for the Malibu, something I'm going to, I'm not going to drag race it or anything, but I want to go a little bit more on it. I'm going to, like I said, put flat top pistons in it and a bigger cam, and just little stuff like that. Whew. I'm not really allergic to a whole lot, but it got warm and breezy, and I went over and mowed a couple of yards yesterday with a rider, and one of them had I don't know what trees those are. It's got them stinking spiky balls that fall off of it, but she's got 3 huge ones in the front yard. And then all the leaves were there, and there's no grass between those trees. And good grief, it was dusty. That's just something you got to deal with. I tried planting grass a couple of times there, but she won't keep it watered. And I'm not going to go over and take care of the yard if they're not going to, you know, kind of step up and help out. It's not my yard. I just get stuck taking care of it. All right. Come on. Remember, this is aluminum. The block is cast. So it's not a big deal to get to the block really to kind of pry and move around, but you don't want to tear up your seal or your aluminum. So be real careful when you, I mean, I'm not putting any pressure on this at all because I didn't know how much silicone they put on it because how much was on the, you know, where the pan met. So I'm trying to do this and not gouge up the aluminum. It seems like this has, I don't remember. That's really all there is to this. It's got your big rear main seal in it, just to cover with a gasket. The gasket's still on it. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing or not, but that's it. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal. Alright. Now my snot box is running. Doggone it. Ain't one thing, it's another. Just looking where that seal is riding, see if it had grooved it or anything. Doesn't look bad. So, okay. Now, let's see, since I'm so prepared like normal, I did not get the stamps out of the box. We've got a bag here. And there they are. We were in Knoxville, and we went down to Pigeon Forge, went down to the park, and spent a day, and we came back, spent a day in Nashville. She wanted to go down to all those people starting out that, I'm going to call it the bar district. I don't even know what else you'd call it. We went shopping, ate at Margaritaville, and we walked up and down the whole deal there and stayed downtown. And boy, it's expensive, just to let you know. If you ever want to do that, the hotel's kind of expensive. So just keep that in mind. All right, this is basically, these are just number and letter stamps, and I got smaller ones. There's different sizes of these. I prefer the smaller ones in this particular case. If you're doing other stuff that's bigger, you know, it's understandable that you would want a bigger set. Depends on what you're doing. I didn't want these huge numbers sitting on this, so I didn't, you know, I got the smaller ones, which, well, for me, you know, works fine. So, all right, I got to turn this thing over and get everything lined up. I'll probably have to get my bigger channel locks. I'm getting a hold of this gear set for the timing to turn the motor over if it'll grab it, and it's not. But boy, it gouged it up, so that tells you that it's soft. I don't know if it's aluminum or not. I could put the bolt back in it too if I really wanted to, which is probably the smarter thing to do. That way I'm not going to tear anything up. I don't want to slip off and grab the crank. Okay. All right. This will make it a little easier. Okay, I want it on, I'd really like it both on the same side, but it may be more difficult than I thought. That way I know that, you know, they're all going to be facing the same direction. Is what I'm after. And you can kind of do it as you know, as you want, but yeah, I really just wanted to go 1, 1, and then I really wanted 2 on that side over there. So let me see what I'm going to do here. Hang on just a minute. Like I said, it's not locked and running. Okay. Well. That's, yeah, right where I left it. Okay. Find the split. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Probably not very well. It's going to be crooked. I apologize. As you can see, that's number 1 rod. I got a little one and another one. So that's top and bottom, same side. That's what you want to do. You don't have to have these number stamps. I'm not saying that you do. The reason I like the number stamps is because it's more permanent, and there's no question if you do it right, you know, that it's done right. I have used just a punch with, you know, like it's got the center punch. I've used that before, put one dot for each one and then 2 dots. When you get down to 8, there's a bunch of little dots, and these things aren't designed to have that much stuff in them. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. Now I could put 2 on the other side. Just remember that 1's on this side, 2's on this side. I really don't want to do that, but it may come to that, because I just don't think I can spin this thing around enough to get to it now. There's just no way. It's going to have to be that way. It's not really what I wanted, but that's okay. That did not do very good. Make sure it's centered. And I still don't see the bottom of the 2. There it is. Well, it almost does not look like a 2 anymore. That's better. Anyway, just go through it this way, and so number 3, which I completely put upside down. Let me try that again. Ow! That's the problem with the little stamps. It's a little harder for me to hold on to, especially with these gloves on. Now I gotta turn the motor back over and get my stamp back out. That's a bit of a fail, but that's how it works. You gotta see the good with the bad, right? Let me try this again here. I'm only getting part of this on there. I'm not sure what it is. It's not holding it straight there or something. 3. Wow. There you go. Put A and 4 right next to each other. Boy, talking about looking pretty close. Boy, it just doesn't seem like it's flattening out there at all. But I can see it. Four. Alright, we're getting there. And if you guys ever do get these stamps and use them, understand that number 6 and number 9 are the same. They're the same, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. They're the same when you just turn it upside down to use number 6. So keep that in mind if you're going past, which in this case, of course, I'm only going to 8, but if you happen to be going past it for some reason, don't mess up your stamp or mess it up and forget which way it is. Just remember the 6 and 9 are different, or they're the same stamp. So I know that's kind of self-explanatory to a certain point, but well, boy, if I stamped it, I can't see it. Guess I should have kind of, yeah, there it is. It's there. I'm gonna give it another one. Daggone it. Way too big of a hammer for the job. I'm gonna have 56s on here and I'm still not gonna be able to figure out which one it is. Yep, that's 6. Yeah, I like it better. Shouldn't be doing that anyway. Alright, one more. Yeah, it looks much better. Should have done that to begin with. Alright, now the mains are actually already numbered, so I don't really have to worry about that. They actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, this one's not numbered. Well, I guess it is. It's on this side, which is kind of odd. These are numbered on this side, 1 through 4, and 5 is over here. But there's no way you could turn it around backwards because it's got ears that hang out. Of course, they're all facing backwards here and facing forwards there. I guess it's supposed to do that? I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. No. Okay, what I'm going to have to do, since I'm videoing it, I pretty much know what I have done. But, as I've told you in the past, I think it's a better idea to take a picture so that you know for sure what you've done. If I lost this video, it's not a big deal. It's not that I wouldn't remember what I've done, but I think it's smart to do it this way so that you know. And I'm taking a picture of this number 5 on the wrong side, even though I said it. Like I said, if I lost this video, let's say I made this and I'm trying to download it and I mess up and lose it, it's gone. And you know what I'm saying? Then what do you do? Okay. Let's find out. Bigger than that. Come on, where's my socket? I know it's laying up here. Well, it was, well, I know they're not 15. What are they, oddball 14 or something? No. Alright, what the heck is going on here? They're 12? That's, well, that's always possible. No, they're 11. The only reason I'm starting with 7 and 8 is because they're right here. It doesn't matter how you take, there's not like a specific order. Unless you're taking them apart, not stamping them. And you better remember which way they went. And besides being oil on it, bottom of the bearing looks pretty good. I see a little wear right there in the center. You know what? Let's just do this one at a time. Found about very little ridge. Thing came right out. Is carboned up, which is not uncommon. Matter of fact, the oil ring is stuck on it. Can't even move it. It's the bottom one, it's the oil ring. The two top ones are moving like they're supposed to. I think I put them in line. So, but if I'm not mistaken, though, because I've been told this and it's true, for them to get everything to line up, the reason you have to get those in is you may or may not be able to see this because my hand's probably in the way of the rod. I was told these are offset. So I don't know if that's a fact. I've not really measured these to see. But, oh, by the way, top of the bearings one it usually wears on a rod. And as you can see, let me wipe it off. They're being replaced anyway. So it doesn't make any difference. There's scuffing, as you can see, but that's typical. Don't look that bad. I don't see any brass sticking through. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it's, you know. And I told you that these were broke in half. And you can actually see it's not square. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. Look at this edge here. You can actually see, look at that tip sticking up. And that's what I'm saying. You cannot swap these one side or the other or a different rod or whatever. If when you have to keep this rod cap with this rod. There is no question you have to do that. So just keep that in mind, guys. They only work with themselves. And or however you want to say it. So anyway. I'm not trying to harp on it. I'm just trying to make sure that you understand. You just can't. Don't buy 3 of these motors thinking, well, I'm just going to take this piece and put on this and that piece and put on that. You can do that in some cases, in some instances on these, but you cannot do it with. Oh my goodness! Now the other one was that bad. Now yes, I do have a 3/8 ratchet. I could probably do a little bit better. But like I said, they take these and they break them in half. And I was told that, but of course, like I said, I have not taken one of these apart before, so I did not know. Now I know. It is true. That's good. Now what you're seeing there is just oil. If I move it around, see it changes it. So if you're looking at it when I'm taking this apart thinking that, oh man, it looks terrible, what's wrong with that thing? There really isn't anything wrong with it. I'm going to do this without kicking the tripod. Number 7. oil ring is also stuck on it. I'm checking the top ring. You know, they're not together, but they're pretty close together. So usually I do it because your oil rings have, these are a three-piece, what they call a three-piece oil ring. I know they do it by computer because I can see it. It's almost exactly the same. There's a, you can see the separation there, well I can, and then there's a separation there on the top ring. So you've got the little top wiper, bottom wiper, and then you've got the center section. And when I put it together, I'll show you how it actually looks. But yeah, it's actually kind of stuck. So not what I expected. I'm just putting them back together. The bearing looks fine in here too. So, number 7. Good night. So far, everything looks, first 3 all look exactly the same that way. Gotta be careful not to allow this thing to jerk over one side or the other and make contact with your crank. I'm being real careful with that. And there's the number. What is this? This is 6. So again, bearing looks fine. I'm not seeing anything that scares me yet. The mains are the ones I'm not scared of. The guy said it was a good motor, so you know what I mean. It's not that I know him. It's not like I'm buying this thing off Craigslist or Facebook or eBay or something. I actually know this guy, and he actually told me yesterday when I was talking to him. He came. Okay, I know I'm jumping around. I got way too political, and I had to shut up and start kind of not over again. I'm not going to put everything back together, but I really needed to shut up because it was getting kind of severe. So so you're probably going to see it jump from one place to another. I pulled all the rods, pistons out. That came out fine. They all look pretty good. Every one of them had stuck oil rings, which I was surprised. But now I've just loosened all of the side main caps. Like I've said, the LS all have 6 main bolts. There's of course you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you've got 1 on each side. The side ones, I don't remember if those are torque to yield or not, or torque to angle or whatever they call that. I'll have to look. I did buy an angle gauge so I can do the rods or the mains, excuse me, and the heads. Because if I'm not mistaken, these also have to be done in sequence. I don't know, I'll have to look. I don't remember on the mains. I've never done one of these before. I've just seen a few videos. I'm probably in the shot here, but I had to get these out. That's, there has been some people saying that GM stole the 6 main cap idea from Ford, because Ford did it with the nodular blocks, the 4.6 and the 5.4, and I don't know if the V10 used them or not. It doesn't really make any difference. And it's funny that Ford owners would say that, and I'm not saying it's not 100% possibly accurate. Of course, that motor, I don't remember what year that came out. The 4.6 came out earlier than the 5.4 did. I don't think the 5.4 came out till like 97, but I believe the 4.6 came out like, what was it, 93, 94? Heck, might even come out earlier than that. I really don't know. But for those interested, I don't know when the first ones were used. I'm not going to even venture to guess the first time these side bolts were used. But I'm going to tell you, the old Hemis had them a long time ago. They only had 2 main, 2 here in your mains, but the big Hemis had them there on the sides. So Ford can't take credit for doing it first, because they weren't. At least not recently. Not when nodular block came out. So you know, we can we can put credit where credit's due. I'm not saying it's not, you know, I don't know if it's a good or bad idea, but what I am saying though is that it's funny that that's a little loose on there. Let me find my ones here. Anyway, yeah. So I'm kind of rambling on that. It's not a big deal either way, but yeah, I'm gonna use my. I hate to say, I think the outside ones are tightened black. See, they're actually different sizes too. So keep that in mind. Once I get this out, I'm going to pull a couple of sensors. Probably just took you right out of the shot. And then this thing is going to have to be majorly cleaned. I'm going to have to go get some of that purple crap or whatever it is and wheel this thing out in the middle of the driveway. And I'm going to have to give this thing a pretty good cleaning. The block is pretty nasty. I got to do gasket scraping and stuff like that. So, could I use an impact on this? Yeah, most likely. A lot of people would frown on that, which is fine. I don't do it when I put them back together usually, but when I take them apart, I don't, you know. The aluminum heads, they say that you're supposed to, mind you, the heads were off already on this, so I don't know how it was taken apart. But they claim on your heads you're supposed to, whatever the torque specs are, you're supposed to do it the opposite way. Like if you start in the center out, then you're supposed to start on the ends and work your way in, taking them loose. That's probably a good idea. But if you're going to have your heads surfaced, like if you had a head gasket leak on, you know, some of your, like, man, I'm telling you what, those Fords, I don't know, and GM had their issues too. I don't know where you guys are at in the world, in the United States, but them Ford Explorers, they are, I mean, we're talking, I can pick those things up for $300-400, no matter what year they are. All the way up to like 2004, I can pick them up for under $2,000 in really nice shape, all with with a head gasket problem. I don't know if they let them get hot, I don't know if they leak fluid out and that nobody pays attention to the, I don't really have a clue why, but those things are in there everywhere with bad motors, and with the V6 specifically. When I do this Mustang, I would mind finding a 260 or 289 because everybody has a 302. And there's nothing wrong with 302, but everybody has one. If you noticed, I do stuff a little different. They make fun of me, I don't care, it's fine. So I would like maybe a 351, like a 92 or newer Ford pickup with a 351 in it. The way it's got the roller. I'll make sure these are all the same length. You know, with a roller cam or something like that. Then I would probably put a 4-barrel on it. I might keep the fuel injection that the Ford, you know, the factory stuff had. I don't know really, but just get a newer harness or whatever. I'd really like to run a 5-speed, not necessarily an automatic. An automatic is fine. Most of my stuff is automatic, but doggone, I like shifting gears. And so my wife can drive a stick. We've talked about this in the past. So I really don't know what we'll do, but I would really like to keep the stick in it. So I don't know. We'll kind of see. I wouldn't mind a 6-speed, but I don't want to cut the floor clear up on it. A 5-speed, you know, was fine. Actually, you know, I could possibly, somebody had another 66, I think it was, 200 inline 6 for sale the other day with a 63 Cruise-O-Matic. I think it's a 2-speed automatic. It was in a pickup truck, and they pulled it out, said it run and drove great. It's name your price, which means they knew it wasn't worth a whole lot. I considered taking the 200 and rebuilding it, or rebuilding one. They have decent compression. Cam, they actually made, I don't know if anybody does now, an aftermarket head for those that actually flowed really good, but they're really hard to get a hold of now because I don't think they're making them. So finding a used one's kind of hard to do. At least that's the way I understood it. I didn't search real hard. A 300 would be the way to go, but they're heavy. If you're going to go with a 300, you might as well put a V8 in it, because I bet it outweighs the V8, or at least close to it. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised. This car is very light. I told you I weighed this before. It's just, I weighed this with me in it. I don't remember how much gas was in it, but just me in it, sitting on the scales, the way you see it sit right there, was 32. I think it was like 3,200 pounds, 3,250 maybe. Wasn't very heavy. So now think about what's going to happen here. I'm going to take a 6-cylinder out and a 3-speed manual and put a V8 and a 5-speed in it. Transmission on this one is cast iron. The T5 will be aluminum with all, of course, metal in all. There's no plastic inside, or aluminum mostly. It's all cast iron or whatever. So with that said, the transmission, even being more gears, probably is not going to weigh much more, maybe a tad less than the 3-speed. Clutch going to weigh what it weighs. Of course, bell housing on this is cast iron. It may be aluminum on the 6. I don't remember, because it was put together when we got it from the guy. I don't think I took it apart. So I don't remember if it's cast or aluminum. I don't remember. But anyway, either way, the 6-cylinder and V8. I'm not sure which one will weigh more or less. I really do not know. So what I'll do though is, it'd be great to put a set of aluminum heads on it. That'll help with weight. And anywhere you can shed weight is always a good thing. So that is probably what I would do. But what I'm going from a 7 1/4 inch 4-leaf spring. I'm going to a 5-leaf with an 8-inch rear end, so it's going to be heavier. Drive shaft has to be a little bit bigger because of U-joints, so the drive shaft is going to be a tad heavier. The front end is going with a 5-lug disc brake. The disc brake, I think, is inherently a little heavier than the drum stuff. Don't quote me on that. So I'm going to have to do that. So what I'm getting at is, I don't know how much weight difference there is. The tires, wheels are going to be a little bit, of course, bigger, which makes them heavier, most generally. Okay, guys, getting these out. You don't want pry and beat on these any more, than you need to. With that said, I'm going to move you over so you can see what's going on. What they did do, they did it to all of them. You know what? Let me just pull you off the tripod. There's no way I can move this thing around. What they did do though is, see this hole? Sorry. They did that to every one of those all the way down, and both sides. So you can kind of stick something underneath there and pry a little bit without damaging any type of a machined surface, if that makes any sense. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to try to do this without hurting anything. And I probably do have other tools that I can use to not damage stuff. But they move somewhat easy. I'm not getting abusive with this at all. I'm just seeing what moves and what don't. I don't want to break anything. Alright. Because that reluctor ring is right there, and I don't want to break anything. Yeah, it's coming. There it goes. It's got a few more scrapes in the old bearing surface there. The mains, like I said, are the ones that the rods take quite a bit of abuse. The mains, when you think about how much pressure is on it, every time that thing bangs and booms, you're putting stress and pressure on everything. So they take quite a bit of abuse, because there's only 5 of those, technically the 3, then you got the 2 end ones that kind of do a couple of different things. You got your balancer hanging off one end, got your, which hanging off this end, you've got your flex plate, and you got something, either a clutch or a, what I'm saying, you've got the torque converter. There's a lot of weight, stress, and stuff on all this stuff, so. What I have seen guys do, there's quite a bit of meat here, more than what I remembered. them guys talking about. I've actually seen people drill and tap in the center of these and put like a like a eyelet or something with a bolt where they could get a hold of it and pull these things straight up. So there is being real careful not to get into anything here. Right now I'm just kind of moving it back and forth. It's coming up. I'm just being real careful with it. This is probably not the piece of equipment to use either. A breakover bar end. Oh, that's it, tear it up. Sure I didn't hit that main, or that rod journal. It don't look like it. Be careful. Yeah, this one's got a few more scrapes. Matter of fact, I think I can even feel one with my finger. Yeah. I may have to have this thing polished a little bit. I don't know. We'll see when I get out there. I'll actually get my calipers out or mic it or whatever, just to kind of keep an eye on it and see. You're on these kind of like the thrust washer is in the center. For your side to side or end to end, end to end movement for the crank is, and there is actually a set spec for that, so not a bad idea to set that up and look at it. This is your thrust bearing. See, it actually looks a little different. Your other bearings do not have this side on both sides, and that's actually, that stops that crank. This thing, of course, stays stationary, and then it stops your crank from moving too far one way or the other. So, all of them have them of some type, or other. The small block Chevys use them, but it's on the end, if I'm not mistaken. So, hopefully you're still in frame here. Socket fell off of it. Yeah. Like I said, I've seen much worse. I remember when I was telling you about that Lincoln town car motor I bought, and for that Lincoln to put in my '91 Ford pickup truck, and the compression ended up being a little lower. It didn't really run. I had long tube headers, cat delete, dual exhaust. I had put a few other things in it. It didn't run any better. Of course, the OBD1 computer is one of the biggest failures on those. But it's not really a failure. It's just they're, kind of a pain to tune, and the pickups were not notorious for having a lot of power anyway. It did help with fuel mileage, however. If you were nice to it, I could get almost 20 out of that Ford. It was an extended cab short bed 2-wheel drive. It wasn't bad, but okay, all the mains are out, all the rods are out, and the only thing that's left on the crank that needs to come off is this that timing gear, oil pump drive, whatever you want to call it, together. So just looking down here, I'm not really seeing anything that's ugly. Like I said, that one main, I'll just check that, and hopefully it's just all in the bearing, because I'm not seeing anything else. It's just scary. So, alright, it's time to pull this thing out. I have no idea how much it weighs. Yeah, it's not bad. About almost small block Chevy weight. You gotta be real careful setting it down, because it's actually sitting on that reluctor ring. And all the bottom bearings look decent too. So, I got a little mark in that one, but it's almost as if it was cast wrong. It's like got a spot where it's not actually touching anything. Let me lose these gloves and I'll show you what I'm talking about. They're so oily now I can't touch you. Can't touch the camera. Take you off the tripod and I'll show you real quick. You look at that spot there in the center. You see that shiny? Like right here? It either was really rubbing on that or it didn't rub on it at all. You know what? Now that I cleaned it, it looks like that's where it rubbed its most. I don't know. Yeah, shiny on that side. Thrust's got a couple of dig marks in it, but nothing, you know, nothing that's. But again, these bearings, you know, GM just throws them in a. That one's really pulled on this side, but there's almost nothing on that side. So kind of funny how that works. That's another reason why you take your plastic gauge and you check all that stuff. And I may do that, get into this, since I'm not having it turned. I doubt. Like I said, I'll go get my mics and check the crank and stuff. And then if I've got to take it down and have it polished up or whatever, it's not a big deal. But of course the bearings I bought were standard, so if it needs to be turned, I'll have to buy another set of bearings, which I don't want to do. Anyway, I'm going to pull. This is your crank sensor. That's what runs on that. It doesn't run on it, but that's what indicates off of that your reluctor ring on the end of the crank. I'm going to pull it. I'm going to turn it back over and pull the other sensors out of it, and then I'm going to pull these bearings, which anybody's ever wondering, these things just pop right out. So, so they just pull straight up, come out. So that's your. Matter of fact, that'll tell you what year. This was March of 2000. So that tells you what year the bearing was built. So it's very possible this engine is a 2000 or 2001. Could even be a 2. Without running the rest of the numbers, I really won't know. And I'll look at the rod when I pull those bearings and see what they show. Of course, got to pull the cam out. And anyway, so we're real close, and then I'm going to clean this up. I doubt that I do much video on them clean up. I mean, surely you know how to clean stuff up. I'm just going to spray this thing down with that purple cleaner, and it's better if it's a little warm when you do it, so I may set it out in the sun. If the sun comes out today, it doesn't look real promising. And anyway, let it get kind of warm, and then I'll spray that stuff on there and rinse it off 2 or 3 times. I'm going to scrape some gasket surfaces first. The cam retainer's still in too. I got to take that out. That's those 4 bolts there. You can see where the gaskets were on the water pump. Anyway, I'm going to clean all this up, and next time you see it, it'll be clean. And I don't know. I may do a video on checking the crank and stuff. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, all right, guys. Thanks for hanging with me.